All right, I had a Call of Duty video ready to go telling you guys about the Black Ops 6 beta, but this is clearly way more important. Concord is going offline starting this Friday. September 6th, 2024 is the death note date for Concord, meaning it would have been live for only 2 weeks before shutting down. A game with estimated budgets going way over $100 million, and with sales estimates equating only 25,000 units, this might be one of the biggest financial flops in gaming that we have ever seen. Because not only was this game put out, promoted by Sony with all the marketing dollars, but Concord is also going to be featured within the brand new Prime Video show called Secret Level, in which they do 15 episodes of original short stories set in the world of classic video games, like Concord, a game that literally didn't even last 30 days. And PlayStation, in their infinite wisdom, put out a post this morning called an important update on Concord from Firewalk Studios, and the fucking cowards just hid the replies because they knew what was coming, which is a myriad of people going, why did this fucking game even exist? How did this get greenlit over multiple other multiplayer IPs that you guys have? And why does this keep happening? But let's take a look at the post here. I'm gonna go through the entire thing. This is written from Ryan Ellis, the game director at Firewalk Studios. We should just change the name to You're All Fired Studios. Concord fans, all 100 of you, we've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch of Concord and want to thank everyone who has joined the journey aboard the North Star. Your support and passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. Bullshit, but okay. However, with many qualities of the experience resonating with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game in our initial launch didn't land the way we'd intended. Therefore, at this time, we've decided to take the game offline beginning September 6th, 2024, and explore options, including those that will better reach our players. So this screams like they're taking the game offline, going to figure out a way to monetize it in a free-to-play capacity, and then bring it back. Which, if you know gamers, you know first impressions are absolutely everything. If this game comes out and it's free-to-play and it's monetized to the nuts, nobody's gonna give a shit because it's already died once, and all people are gonna remember is this moment in time right now. He goes on to say, while we determine the best path ahead, Concord sales will cease immediately, and we will begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased the game for PS5 or PC. If you purchase the game for PlayStation 5 from the PlayStation Store or PlayStation Direct, a refund will be issued back to your original payment method. So I will say they are refunding all of the purchases, which is when I first saw the headline, I was like, oh, fuck, people just got screwed. But to their credit, yes, refunds are coming. They go on to explain how to get refunds from each of the stores that you purchase from, whether it was Epic or Steam or other retailers. They say, we'll keep you updated and thank you again to all the free gunners who have joined us on the Concord Galaxy. Now, my first initial reaction was that has to be a fucking record. And then people reminded me about the day before, which really only lasted 4 days before the entire studio basically shut down. But in the AAA space, you know, we've seen a lot of games come and go. In the AAA space, this is definitely an all-time record. 2 weeks to the day, and you're pulling the game offline. Now, granted, I'm not going to say that it's completely dead, even though I don't think a comeback is in the cards for this game, because it does look like they are going to try to figure out a way to get this into more people's hands in the future. And like I said, if they decide 6 months from now, they've pulled the game, they've reworked the monetization, they've added a bunch of skins and other cosmetics, you know, weapon skins, character, you know, models, whatever, and then they come out and they say, hey guys, Concord is back, it's free to play. There's going to be tumbleweeds. Nobody cares about this game, free to play or not, because here's where Concord is at. Concord is in the same genre, in the same kind of arena as games like Overwatch, you know, games like Valorant, people are making comparisons there as well, games like Paladins, all of these other games that are already free to play, and Concord came out the gate not doing anything different except having a very, very nice cinematic team, and that was it. They charged $40 for it, which, don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of premium releases if it means we don't get microtransactions, if it means that I'm not going to be nickeled and dimed. I'm okay with spending the money. What I'm not okay with is spending the money on a game that does nothing better than games that are already doing it in a free-to-play capacity with more players, with more resources, with better team management. I'm not going to jump into a new IP right out the gate that is bringing nothing to the table. So now, Concord is in a position where they might go free to play in the future, but still now they're competing in the exact same arena as all of those other games, and they're not bringing anything new to the table. So as gamers who have, let's say, 5 hours a day to play games with the boys, they're going to be playing Old Faithfuls, the Overwatches, the Valorants, the whatevers. They're not going to jump, they might jump into Concord for a day or two, and then we see exactly what happened with games like X Defiant, which is now struggling to maintain a player base. And basically, if you guys saw my video from yesterday, that game has until Season 3 to bring the player numbers back, or support is going to be canceled over there as well. Is anybody out there noticing the pattern yet? In these AAA behemoth studios, Sony and Ubisoft are struggling to maintain player bases in AAA upon millions of dollar invested projects, and they can't even break. I mean, fuck me, Concord didn't even break 1,000 players on Steam. And here's the thing, on one hand, I really feel for the development team. You guys have been working on something for 8 years. You clearly have talent. You just made a game that resonates with absolutely nobody. You're way too late to the party. You priced yourself out of the fucking market. You did everything wrong in terms of how to bring a game to market, right? And then at the same time, like, you guys, like, you're looking at the market trend, you're clearly seeing that people don't want games like this, and you pushed it out anyway. Sony did this huge deal with Secret Level, so they're trying to expand on the Concord IP and the universe and the world building before anybody actually gave a shit about what the game had to offer. And what blows my mind is we have headlines where we hear about the Last of Us factions, you know, coming out. People are excited. You can clearly see there's a lot of fans of the multiplayer of The Last of Us wanting to see that get expanded into its own standalone. PlayStation cancels it. And then when we find out why, it's because Bungie took a look at their internals and realized that there's not a way to actually monetize this for the market to keep it sustainable, and they shut it down. Last of Us Factions was shut down because of the monetization, because there wasn't enough of it. That's right, Sony's listening to Bungie of all studios. You know, the studio that Sony is literally carving into chunks and bringing a bunch of them over to SIE and are basically dissolving the fucking studio. The same Bungie that, like, 10 years ago was regarded as one of the greatest FPS studios in the industry, not by me, by the way, but because of the release of Destiny, the impending, you know, Destiny 2. These guys were on top. And then they fumbled the fucking bag so bad that Sony has to come in and basically take over the studio. And all of this just begs the question, like, what the fuck is going on at Sony and PlayStation that their multiplayer section of their library and their catalog is struggling this bad? And now that Sony's obviously lost the exclusivity with Call of Duty for, like, DLCs and betas that come in first and all that, they need to start focusing on multiplayer, and this isn't the fucking way to do it. We've hit the crossroads, ladies and gentlemen. We are here now, and I'm currently wondering what it's going to take to get these guys to really just start looking at what they're doing wrong and fix it. Because this is insane how fucked up the western side of the AAA space is, right? Like, what? How did we get here, dude? We had more people play our demo than Concord had on Steam. And by all metrics, we're going to sell more copies than Concord did. I don't get it. Like, if you were to tell me 2 years ago when I jumped into game development and we put the team together and we started working on our own game, that, like, the AAA space would get even worse than it already was, I wouldn't have believed. Like, I would believe you, but I'd have to see it for myself. And it has been a fucking train wreck. And with Ubisoft and the launch of Star Wars Outlaws, that game is being fucking run through the ringer. I've played a little bit of Star Wars. I don't even want to make a video on it. It's not bad. It's not great. It is a Ubisoft 6 out of 10 if I've ever fucking seen one. But for a Star Wars title, that makes it even worse because you have one of the most robust IPs in the industry and you did nothing with it. I feel like I'm on the verge of a mental breakdown watching the business side of the AAA space just struggle to make money. When us gamers, like, we've had multiple conversations where it's like, man, if only Sony did this IP and this IP and this IP, they would make so much money because that's what people are asking for. Man, if only Ubisoft would go back to their gritty roots and give us tactical games, Splinter Cell, Rainbow Six, you know, Brothers in Arms. Like, there's so many games they can make that would just make them more money. If Sony announced a brand new Killzone game going back to the roots like Microsoft just did with Gears of War E-Day, imagine that, a Killzone prequel where we learn more about the Hellgast, and it's gritty and it's dark, and they made that fucking game. They would fucking kill it. If Guerrilla Games wants to spend more time crawling through grass fighting robots, they can do that. What happened to Resistance? What happened to SOCOM? What happened to Warhawk? What happened to all of these games that were being made back in the day that made you millions of dollars? And you just ignore them for Concord and Destiny 2. Like, holy shit, man. Fuck these companies. They don't give a fuck about their fans. Like, really, like, no, but like, we're numbers, right? And if the numbers don't match and the revenue is and the financial reports and the quarter four financial for the shareholders, if Sony isn't making money, then none of it fucking matters. They don't care about passion. They don't care about their fans. They don't really give a shit about anything but that bottom line. And I get it. Look, they're a $1 billion studio, right? Like, at the end of the day, we all know this, right? But it gets frustrating watching them then shell out $100 million plus towards a project that was going to be dead on arrival from the moment they fucking announced it. So I think that's where the confliction lies with me. It's like, you guys want to make money, and we get it. You want to make billions and billions of dollars. That's the whole fucking goal. But you attach yourself to these projects and these studios that don't make you that money. Like, Concord is now just $150 million deficit. Like, you just lost that money. As somebody who only cares about bottom dollars and profits and financial reports, wouldn't it make sense to invest in games that would, I don't know, make you fucking money? I understand the need to make money and financial, but like, the moves you're making are some of the dumbest shit that we have seen in years. And you keep making them. Like, you guys keep doing this. Anyways, I could rant about how out of touch these fucking CEOs are, but you guys have heard it enough. Concord is dead. It's gonna try to come back in the future, and I don't think it's gonna go very well, and I don't actually care. Because fuck the Sony suits, who will just refuse to give their fans the games that they want. Fuck the developers for creating a game that nobody wanted. And fuck the entire AAA scene in the West. Because it's in shambles. And as somebody who loves this industry and loves games and wants everything to just be successful, I'm growing incredibly tired of it. I shouldn't have a career, right? Everybody calls this channel negative. I cover when games die. I cover when companies do wrong. I shouldn't have a career. But I do. Because you keep fucking up. I'll see you guys on the next one.